Hey guys, in today's video I want to show you different ways how you can attack the net. On the professional tour, serve and volley has pretty much died out, which doesn't mean that players don't come to the net. They come to the net quite frequently. And it's not all about serve and volley. There are actually many ways to come to the net. And that is what we're going to cover in today's video. Now you can see here I'm playing with the Head Prestige racket, which is one of the greatest rackets that's ever been made. I made a video ranking the top 5 rackets of all time. You can check it out. The Head Prestige made it on that list. And the reason why I'm playing with it today is because it's a great racket for the volley. Now my college coach, Mel Purcell, always wanted me to play with Head Prestige. He thought that me being tall and being from Croatia, I should play with the racket that Goran Ivanišević used. But I never liked it for my serve. I never liked it for my ground strokes. I was always more of a Wilson guy back in those days. But for the purpose of this video, because I'm going to be coming to the net, attacking the net, this is the perfect racket for that. And guys, we're going to start off with serve and volley. Even though this is not something you see frequently on the ATP Tour, this is something that players do utilize from time to time, and it's definitely something that you should utilize at the recreational level. Now, when it comes to any of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, it is super important that you do have sound volley technique, sound volley fundamentals, or my advice is that you don't come to the net. So we're going to start off by me tying the shoes, because I'm going to be running up to the net after my serve, and you call that serve and volley. Now first I'm going to show you what you shouldn't do. So this might surprise you, but you shouldn't try to serve flat or slice and come to the net. Now I'm going to first do it and then explain why you shouldn't do this. So reason number one why you shouldn't be serving flat or slice, for that matter, is that those serves are going to be the fastest serves, especially when we're talking about a flat serve, which happens to be the fastest serve. So obviously you're going to have less time to make it to the net. The ball is going to come back much quicker, and most likely you're going to be volleying in transition around the service line or even further behind. So for that reason, it's not wise to hit flat serves and come to the net. It's very similar on the slice serve. I will say, however, that the slice serve is more suitable for serve and volley compared to the flat serve, but even here that ball is going to come back pretty quickly and you got to be quick. Now you're probably thinking, what about Pete Sampras, Boris Becker, guys with humongous flat serves that used to be serve and volleyers? That is an exception, because those guys had absolute bombs, and it's quite obvious when they make their first serve that the ball is going to come back weak. So in that case, it's perfectly fine to serve and volley. So if you happen to have a bomb like Sampras or like Becker, by all means you can serve and volley on all your serves. So what you should do instead is something that the greatest serve and volley players in the history have always done, players such as Patrick Rafter or Stefan Edberg, that is kick the ball and come to the net. So let me do it first, and then I'm going to explain why this is such a good strategy. So guys, when it comes to serve and volley, when you're kicking the ball, that gives you more time to get to the net. The flight path of a kick serve is much longer than a flight path of a flat serve or a slice serve. For that reason, this little extra time is going to allow you to volley inside the service line, where you have better chances to play a quality volley. Just make sure that when you decide to come to the net, it's something that you determine prior to the serve starting. And when you hit the kick serve, make sure that it is indeed a quality kick serve. If you hit a weak kick serve and you come to the net, you're going to get passed real quick. And guys, another way you can come to the net is to come to the net off the return. You can do it with a chip, which is basically an abbreviated slice. Now this is something that you don't see at all anymore on the Pro Tour, but at the rec level it still has a time and a place, and it is very useful in surprising your opponent, or maybe putting pressure on your opponent, because they're going to have to come up with a passing shot, and if you strike your chip well, the ball is going to stay low and they might have to hit up on the ball, increasing the chances of them missing long. Now you can do this off the forehand chip, but it's not something I recommend, because you're less likely going to be good at chipping the forehand, because you don't do it as often as on your backhand. You have more muscle memory built up on your backhand slice. For that reason, only chip and charge with your backhand return. Now the danger is that if you don't hit your chip well enough, or if you play against a high level opponent, that they're going to pass you, because let's face it, a chip is a slow shot. So you're basically looking for the opponent to mess up. It's not a shot that you're going to hit a winner on. So it is an aggressive shot in the fact that you are putting pressure on your opponent, but fact is that if you don't hit it well and you're playing against a powerful opponent, you're going to get passed. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see this play on the Pro Tour, because there's simply too much power in the game. So you can see there I was able to hit my chip deep and I actually got a defensive shot for my opponent. So if you manage to hit a quality chip, this can be a fantastic play. Now make sure that you don't overdo this, because your opponent's going to get used to this play. Only pull this out every now and then so you can keep the surprise factor going. Okay, there it is. Another chip and charge successfully executed. This time I was able to put my opponent a little bit on the run in a more defensive situation. And guys, another way you can come in is off a drop shot. And the reason why you always want to move up a little bit when you hit a drop shot, because you want to defend against the counter drop shot. But what will happen when you hit a quality drop shot is that the opponent is likely going to pop the ball up if they're making contact below the level of the net and close to the net. So for that reason, it is wise to come to the net and hit the next shot after your drop shot as a volley. Or if you hit a drop shot that the opponent can't get to, even better. You don't have to volley at all. Now what's happening now is that Milan, who plays a lot against me, doesn't know what the heck is going on, because I don't drop shot this much when I usually play. So this is coming at a big surprise to him, and he's not reacting to my drop shots. And the most ironic thing about tennis is now that I want him to get my drop shot, I'm hitting like one drop shot winner after the next. And there it is, guys. When you hit a drop shot, this is a great way to come to the net and finish the volley off in the wide open court. But just like the chip and charge, don't do this too often or you're going to lose the surprise factor. And guys, obviously anything that the opponent hits half court, you can hit a regular approach shot and come to the net. This is kind of an obvious thing, but I want to demonstrate it. I want to wait for a ball to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to attack it and come to the net. Okay, there I didn't get a volley, but I would have been there if that ball would have gone over the net. Would have been an easy put away shot at the net. So let's summarize the 4 different ways you can attack the net, whether you're playing singles or doubles. You're going to be able to do this more in doubles, obviously, because there's less court to cover and you have less court to defend, and it's easier to come to the net. But this applies to singles and doubles. You can come in by serving volleying, you can come in by chipping and charging, you can come in off a drop shot, and of course you can come in off short balls with an approach shot. Now one thing that's super important is the following. Coming to the net is very physical. It's very exhausting. It takes a lot of energy. So you gotta be aware of that when you attack the net, that you're gonna exert a tremendous amount of energy. It makes sense, right? Let's say I hit a kick serve and I stay back and I hit a forehand versus hitting a kick serve and sprinting to the net. That's going to take a lot more energy than just standing at the baseline and setting the ball up from there. So be aware that when you become an attacking player, when you start coming to the net more, you have to be in good shape, because you're going to be exerting a lot more energy. And make sure that you don't come in the following 2 circumstances. Circumstance number 1 would be a scenario where you're exchanging balls from behind the baseline, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, you decide to come to the net. A lot of players do this, and now the distance from behind the baseline to the net is too large, it's too far away to the net, and you're gonna be guaranteed to hit a volley in transition, most likely a half volley. This is gonna work very rarely, and for that reason, don't come in when you're hitting shots from behind the baseline. Now, an exception to that would be when you're hitting very aggressive shots from behind the baseline and your opponent is barely getting to the ball, they're reaching and they have their arms stretched out. Now it doesn't matter, even if you're behind the baseline, you can still come to the net because the chances of your opponent hitting a quality shot are very low. So that would be an exception where you could come in even when you're standing behind the baseline, when you hit a super aggressive shot and your opponent barely gets a racket on it. But generally speaking, when you're behind the baseline, do not come to the net. And I'm going to tell you a tactic that does work, but I don't want you to do it anyway, and that is the moon ball net attack. So picture this scenario. I'm not going to demonstrate this because I am not a proponent of this tactic, but let's just say that you hit a moon ball and now your opponent is scrambling back and probably hitting a moon ball right back to you. Now what you could do is sneak up to the net right around the contact zone, because the likelihood of your opponent hitting a moon ball back is very high. This happens very frequently at the lower recreational level and at the junior level. So when you execute this moon ball sneak attack, you are guaranteed to get a high ball mid-court that you can take as a swing volley or an overhead. And guys, I never teach my students to hit moon balls unless they're in defensive situations and they're trying to stay alive, simply because there are better ways to hit high balls. You can learn to be aggressive off of high balls, and there's really no reason to hit moon balls. Also, most players hate being stuck in moon ball rallies, and from the outside, it is something that's very painful to watch. So for those reasons, I don't ever want you to execute the moon ball sneak attack. So guys, utilize these 4 ways to come to the net. It can make your life a lot easier because you're going to have an easier time to put the ball away.